Wow. Our little has created thousands of jobs for our construction industry. Lower inventory is what that might have to do with, Andy.
Well, and they're building apartment doors like crazy. It's unbelievable how many apartments are going up still.
Well, that's what they want. They want us all to rent, Andy.
It's easier when you rent and don't have money.
Yeah, exactly.
You wait for your handout. I tell you what, though, when you look at like construction jobs and commercial or residential, I think most construction crews prefer commercial anyway. They're not dealing with a customer or somebody. They follow the specs. You get your job done, you're out of there on your union hours, you have benefits. And so I think a lot of the contractors prefer it. Now, in residential actual construction, you're seeing people losing jobs right now. There's actually residential construction's down quite a bit. The big nationals are staying busy because they have to. They're kind of like a factory. You can't shut the factory down, or you have to start laying off the managers and the ordering people and the factory line people. So they're kind of like a big production line that has to continue moving regardless of profitability or demand. So what they'll do is they'll do incentives to create demand on the products that they're building, right? So kind of a sway. So our residential guys are moving into the construction commercial side.
We talked earlier this week, Andy, kind of the fear of, from a residential perspective, we're going to miss out on some land here soon because people aren't really buying it and developing it because they're kind of trying to get rid of what they have right now, and they're just stalling that part of it. We both think that's going to be an issue.
For sure. I think there's definitely going to be a gap from a new construction perspective because a lot of the builders that are out there are selling off their inventory. They're very cautiously building new models, if any. Some of the builders developers have to keep moving because if they don't hit their knockdown schedules, their banks aren't happy. So they keep kind of building as well. But overall, I mean, I think you're seeing the developer that just touches the dirt. They've been pulling back because of the costs. The market on costs it was jumping too fast. So they weren't going to be competitive on their market pricing. And so I think that's all coming down now, but it still takes 18 months, year to 18 months to get a development off the ground. I think there's going to be a lack of inventory, which will put more pressure on housing, which is going to, again, adjust prices up.
Should inspections be a legal requirement for listing a property?
Legal?
There's a lot of cities that do it, that have an inspection. I wish every house would have an inspection just because that takes a lot of the problems off of us and puts it on somebody else. But I don't know if it should be a legal thing. I mean, there's still a lot of properties that are selling without an inspection for good reason.
But it is a legal thing, Chris. I mean, like in Minneapolis, trust me, yeah. I had the city inspector call me. This was a house I did. Now, this was years ago before I was experienced, right? I got a call saying, hey, we saw you were listing a property over here by the VA. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a great property, whatever. And they said, we didn't have a point of sale inspection on that house yet. And I said, yeah, we'll get that done before we sell it. He said, you have a misdemeanor out right now. There's a warrant out for your arrest. Unless you take that house off the market immediately, get the inspection done, or you'll be arrested. I'm like, oh my God, I love socialism. It's so awesome. And, you should find me more because I make more money. And the guy goes, I think we're done.
Yeah. Well,
I thought he was kidding in a way. And I go, what is this? This is a joke? They were hardcore serious.
In Minneapolis, you have to before you list that house. You got to have that before anyone sees it. There's different rules in every town. That's the part that really stinks, Some just have to be done by the time that you close on the house. Some have hazardous situations that you have to do. Some that you can escrow. Some that the buyers are able to do. Some of them require, a drain scope as well. I think Golden Valley's the one that's got that. So there's 13 different cities have some sort of requirement. There's also, who just got rid of theirs? Hopkins. Yep. Hopkins got rid of it.
A lot of cities have dropped it because it was such a pain in the butt and it wasn't a very profitable endeavor. And then all of a sudden there's people questioning the city like, well, why didn't you inspect this? Or why didn't you find that? And all of a sudden they're becoming part of the transaction, which was not the goal. I think it was all a revenue generating thing and to get the slumlords to clean up the properties before they dump them.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Yes? You want it to be legal for everywhere or no?
No. I wish everyone would do an inspection, but I don't think it should be mandated.
If it ever did come to that where the state required it, what's interesting is that right now, every listing I have, the seller's personality is so different, right? From detail-oriented engineer brain to the dominant, I'm not doing nothing unless I have to brain, right? And so it's always interesting to me as an agent that I have to allow their personality to control when that's done, how it's done. We're going to get an inspection on the well and septic. And I'll tell you this, if your real estate agent is telling you right now, and you're a consumer listening to this, and they say, boy, it's a great idea to get this stuff done up front, do it. Every time I've ever had somebody that says, no,